So the new topic we have is called decision analysis. As the name suggests, this topic helps in decision, right? But the question is, how is it different from other tools like linear programming or transportation method? Because we have defined management science as the technique, tools and techniques to help managers take better decisions, isn't it? So then the question comes, so how different it is from other tools? For that, we should understand the types of decision making in managerial function. Decisions can be of two types. One, decisions can be, let's take a new slide, okay. One here. Yeah. So decisions can be of two types. It is very much possible that when we are, and decision is always for future, right? I mean, we take a decision for future. It may be, future may be very short, like next hour. I mean, you have to decide, you want to, after the class, you want to go to a market, okay? So that's a decision you are going to take after, for after an hour. Still, it is for future. So decision is always for future. But there is one decision which is certain. There is no if but. It's not conditional. It will be done. You have to do it. So we saw, the cases of linear programming or transportation. The parameters were given, constraints were given, and we had to simply use the method to solve. So that is called, certainty. Decision making with certainties. And there can be decision making where there are different scenarios or uncertainties, and that uncertainty has to be taken into account, taken into consideration for making the decision. So this one, this type of decision making requires to consider the different scenarios for decision making. Here, we learn about a special type of tool called decision analysis, in which, the first, most important, we are not covering the full chapter, we will be covering only some basic concepts so that it is easy for you to prepare. And also you can build upon concept later. So in this decision analysis with uncertainty, now we have a tool called decision tree. A decision tree is a tool or which is in a form of diagram or picture. And this picture has some fixed shapes like a square, circle, okay, squares, circles, and branches. They represent the different parts of the decision in picture form. So like in the computers, we know there is algorithm. So when we write algorithm, we have some shapes like diamond and rectangle. Okay, so these are shapes we use in computer programming. In case of management science also, in decision analysis and many places we use shapes in networking. So in the decision tree, there are some fixed shapes like squares are there, circle is there, and there are branches. So what is the use of decision tree? The main use of decision tree is that it's easier to analyze the situation. So the situation, all the complete problem can be represented in the form of a picture. And from this picture, the manager can choose which decision alternative is the best. Okay, so it's a picture form of making decisions. Decision making through decision tree is very similar to the mind maps that the students use to learn different courses, different concepts. This is a very handy tool that the students use in their learning. What they do, there is, it's very similar to decision tree. When the lecture starts or when they start reading a book, they start writing the concepts in the form of a picture, diagram. They will first write the central concept that we are reading about decision tree, and then they start noting in the form of arrows. Each of these concepts are coming out of this main concept, and in one page, just one page, have you heard about mind maps? You must have. It's a very good tool to. Muruj says the transportation assignment. Yeah, let me just complete this, and then we will do the transport. But you should have reminded me on Saturday. I told you. I forgot. I just remembered because I was just thinking who told me from the 4 groups. So anyway, we'll do it after we complete. So you know about mind maps. Okay. So in the mind maps, what we do, we start learning, and we we start making the arranging all the concepts that we learn in a page. Okay, and that page, one page, gives us full idea about the full book. Sometimes the full book of 200, 300 pages we can draw on the page, and later when we want to, first of all, that is active learning. I mean, active learning is the best form of learning. So when suppose you are taking lectures, all the students, and along with the lecture, you are also making your own mind map. You are writing down everything, arranging. Okay, so I told about decision tree, and then about what is decision tree. So when you do that, after the lecture is over, next day or 2 days later, when you look at the picture, things are easier to remember for 2 reasons. One, it is always, better to do active learning. I mean, you are listening to the lecture and also trying to note down, because the mind is always doing something else. And that's for sure, everybody. Even in Salah, why we lose consciousness? Because we keep thinking of something. So, yes, very good. Muruj is the abstract of the whole lecture. And it's not just the abstract, you also capture the concepts, main concept. Abstract means malakhas, it's the summary. But in mind map, we can consider everything. Okay, so anyway, we should not deviate too much. So mind map is a very useful tool, and there are softwares also we can use to make the mind maps. So decision tree is similar to a mind map. There are 4 main parts of a decision tree. One is the alternative, the khiyarat. Okay. So these are the alternatives which we get from the different situations. So suppose I want to decide whether whether we take the exam tomorrow or no. So we have two alternatives. Okay, I'm just giving an example. Don't take it seriously. Okay. So we have two alternatives. Then comes the events. What are the possibilities? What are the main item to do? So the main item is to take the exam, and then there are alternatives. Outcomes are the result, final result. So if I do this, this will happen. If I do the other, the result will be this. If I go for study in USA, then this is my result. If I go to Australia, then this is the result. So the outcome is the result, natija of each khayal. And finally, comes the decision. So these are the parts of decision tree. Now, I'm showing you two pictures of decision tree. Both of them are decision tree, but there are some differences. Okay, so have a look at these two pictures first yourself and try to find the difference between the two. You can find any difference, tell me. Don't worry about correct or wrong. Just see the difference and tell me what is the main difference. So first have a look at this first one. Then I'll show you the next one. The lecture is available on Blackboard. I forgot to upload yesterday. So you can download from Blackboard content. This is the first. This is a tree. We have a square and we have circles. And there is an event, something is being decided in this picture. Okay, you have had a good look on this. Then the second one also is a decision tree. There is something to do, and there are branches coming out. Branches means alternatives. And finally, and every time you see, there is yes, no, or there are different conditions which are coming out, and based on the condition, the alternative is available. So when the decision maker is deciding, she does not have an idea how it will be. Will she have work on Saturday? If she will have work, then she can't go outside. She will have to stay. If she doesn't have work, she can go, but then it depends upon the weather, the condition of the weather, whether it is sunny or cloudy or rainy. So depending upon the weather, she can decide what to do. Okay, and if she wants to, if it is rainy, then again she has two options. She wants to go to friends, but the conditions are friends are busy or no. If the friends are busy, then again she will stay in home. If the friends are not busy, they are free, then they can go to movies. So both of them are decision tree. So let's just identify first, what are the main differences in the two pictures, two decision trees. Are there any differences or no? Do we see any differences? So first of all, you tell me, what is this decision about? Do you get any idea what this? Okay, very good. So you said, okay, Muruj says the first one has numbers. You mean this number? All these numbers. Okay. So that's one. And could you make any idea what this decision is about? Anyone? Do you think, could you make any sense of the problem? What is the decision maker trying to do this problem? Yeah, look at the problem. It's important because it is related to your course program. Business courses. We have one area where we do this about inventory. No, inventory is too far. Anybody else will guess? Any other student? Who is this? Amal or Garam, Ragat? Anyone? Will you give it a try? What is this decision about? Elian, Shahar. I'm just seeing the past messages, not by my memory. It shows that there are three options. The main event here. Very good, mashallah. Financial alternatives. And to be more precise, if somebody can make it better, these are financial alternatives, and we call it in business terms. We study in financial markets or in finance, we study a term called investment. Have you heard about this term, investment? Istismar, if I'm right. Is it called istismar? Yeah. So investment is different from savings. So in investment, what the investor is doing is putting her money in those areas where there is risk and return. So you have money and you want to make more money out of it. So instead of keeping in bank, you take that money and give it to some business person, entrepreneur, and tell her your friend is going to start a business to make profit. Very good. To make profit. And the better word is return, to get returns. These are simple differences, but they are important for business students. They are different because profit means the faida, the gain that we make by doing business. Return is something we get without doing anything. We give money, but we don't participate in the business. We just give the money. So we get return on our money. That's called gain. Profit is a term. When we do business, we work hard, we do operations, everything, and then by selling, we get income and we make profit. Okay, so the financial alternatives, the investment, there is a risk. There is a risk we take, and after the risk, we wait for some time, and then the money either increases or decreases. That is risk. That is the difference between bank saving and this one. In investment, it is possible that the money can go down. So we see three options. One is stocks. Now, what is a stock? A stock is the other name for, do you know what is the other name for a stock? Companies, a sum, yeah, and or shares, okay, shares. So this is one option. You must be knowing about shares. Very common, Aramco sold its share recently, 2 years ago, about a year ago. And when we sell share, then we sell some part of ownership. The other people buy our shares, and when the company is doing well, the share price is going up. So if I purchase the share at 40 reals per share, it will go up to anything like Microsoft, Google shares. They have gone up 1,000 times. Amazon. So if you purchased a share of 10 many years ago at the beginning, today that is $10,000. So these people have become millionaires. Those people who purchased the share of Microsoft, Google, they have become millionaire. And this type of a return is not available anywhere else. So there is a return. So here, what we see, this is the alternative. of stocks. Now comes the probability. This circle is the possibility, ihtimal. What are the probabilities? Two probabilities are there. One, that the market is growing. Overall, economic condition is good. It's growing. And the other is that market is going down, declining. So then what will happen if the two conditions are there? Then we have to consider both of them. That is why we are doing decision tree. So that's the reason we use decision tree. Here we see one branch showing growing, and here in the table we already got. We are just putting this table in a decision tree. In the growing, there is a chance of profit of 70. This has been calculated. We can do it ourselves also. And in declining, the final payoff. Payoff is the final calculated value. It is called payoff. It's not in amount. It's not reals or dollars. This is the payoff, which is calculated by multiplying this number with the returns, and we get the payoffs. So we have got the final. These are called payoffs. And what we see, if the market is declining and this person invests in a stock, what will happen? She will lose money. It will go into minus. Then there is the second option called mutual fund. Here, if the market is growing, the payoff is 53. And if the market is going down, the payoff is -5. And finally, there is something called bonds. Bonds in simple, it's then loan or it's a special type of an investment in bonds where we give money not to banks, but we give loans in loan market. There is a market of loan called bonds. You will learn this in financial institutions and markets. I am teaching this semester. I teach this subject here. This time it is for boys, but I have taught mainly for girls earlier. So loans, market, and the payoff is 20. So now it is easier for the decision maker to choose from the value. This is the highest value, so they will have to sum up. So this will be 57, and this is 48 and 20. So obviously 57 this one is the best option to go for the stocks. This is example of decision tree with the branches, with the alternatives. And here there is no number. Okay, now these numbers, what are these numbers? These numbers are called 0.4 and 0.6. Total is 1. What does this mean? This is called probability, mathematical probability. Mathematical probability, right? You have heard about probability, simple probability, that what is the chance, mathematical chance of the market to grow next year. How do we know? We have some expert method, mathematical technique to calculate the probability. Okay, so this is done mathematically. There are tools, mathematical tools to find the probability. It can be written in the form of decimal, mainly decimal, or it can also be written in the form of percentage. So this means that the chance of market growing is 40% and the chance of market declining is 60%. So the more is chance of declining. But what does this mean? That there is a chance. It may be even 1%, but we have to consider that it is possible that there is 1% chance that the market will grow and 99 chances the market will decline. Still, a good decision maker always considers all possibilities. So she is considering all the possibilities. And that is the main feature of decision analysis, decision tree. That they are taking both the conditions, and it can be more than one condition: growing, mildly growing, and declining. Many can be there. Okay, so these are probabilities. So what did I say? That these are numbers, and the sum, the total should always be 1. So in the exam, I am telling you because now we are close to the exam. Today is our last lecture. Uh, in the exam, if you get this type of a question, and suppose only out of 2, suppose I say there are 2 situations, S1 and S2. Listen carefully, all of you. S1 and S2. And in the question I say that tell me which is the better option to invest in. For growing, I give you the probability that it is 0.25, but I don't give you the probability for declining. Can you find out the declining probability if in the question it is not given? So how much will this be? Who will answer? Very good, mashallah. So why? Because there is a rule that the probability is always equal to 1 or 100%. All different alternatives together make 1 or 100%. Yes, good, all of you. Muruj, Asrar, R, Aliyan, and Karam. So all of you understood. This is something tricky, and I just wanted. I was not required to explain this. It is easy, but I thought let me do it because in the exam you should not say you didn't give the other value. So how could we calculate? The other value can be calculated. Okay, so the probability rule is that it is always equal to 1. So we saw 2 decision trees. These are 2 examples of decisions. One in which mathematical probability is given, and the other, the mathematical probability is not given. But how to solve this one? This one can be solved by using methods without probability. It's easy. In this method, there are some tools we are not learning. I have skipped that, but it may be just guesses. We do guess and solve. So we may, we use judgment. Not say guess. Better word is to use judgment. So it will become qualitative. We'll use judgment. Suppose we say, what is the possibility that we are going to have work 50-50? Okay, 50-50. But this 50-50 or 0.5 is not mathematical probability. It's just guess. It has not been calculated using any formula or mathematical theory. It's just a guess. So without probability, we don't have mathematical probability or number to decide the payoff. So we saw 2 examples, one decision making with probability and the other is decision making without probability. And what is probability? Probability is defined as the probability of an event consisting of n out of m possible equal likely occurrences defined to be n by m. So event is equal to probability PE is equal to n upon m. So an example of probability, as we just saw, 2 conditions. An example how it happens. How do we calculate? What is the maths behind probability? This is a coin. Okay, this is one real coin. There is head and the back side is tail. We toss it up in the air and then it comes down. Now the person says, what is the possibility of here, whether it is head or tail? So only 2 possibilities are there. When it falls to the ground, there are just 2 possibilities. Either it is head or tail. And then when it finally operates, it is suppose H, head. So it will be only one decision, one outcome of this event. So when there is just one outcome, we write that n by m. M is the total number of occurrences. So the two options were there. It may be either head or tail. Out of two, one happened. So the possibility of either head or tail is 1 by 2. This is probability. So it will become complicated when the occurrences are more, and if there are not equally likely, it may be equal likely. So it goes into the mathematics of probability. It's a full science of probability that we apply in statistics, in ulumut tamin, insurance science, actuarial science. So anyway, I just wanted to give you an exam, for a business student. Although, if you go to advanced and you study operations research later, you must have to learn more about probability also. But here at your level, you can safely assume that it will be given to you in the question that this is the mathematical probability, and please calculate what is the best decision. So we'll see two examples first on decision analysis, and then I'll stop the recording and then we'll solve what Muruj had requested. The transportation problem. She wants to learn the reverse as the voluntary assignment was given. Okay, so here the problem one, last day also, yesterday to other group, I asked them to do it yourself, and they did it. Okay, because it's very easy. You have to just read the question and arrange. Now you already know, this is the event, and these are the probabilities, and these are decision nodes. Okay, decision branches, alternatives. So what we have to do, simply read from the question and arrange in the decision tree. So you do it yourself. Okay, I'll read the question and take a paper, draw it neatly, take the picture and send it on the group. Okay, so I'm sure you will do it very fast. So while I read the question, you will start thinking and then finally make the decision tree for yourself. So in the first problem, we are not solving it. We have to just make the decision tree. You are a marketing manager for a food products company. Okay, considering the introduction of a new brand of organic salad dressings. So here another important lesson for us is that this tool can be applied, the decision tree can be applied in several areas. It can be applied in marketing, HR. So it's a very good tool. The company wants to introduce new brand of organic salad dressing. So the question is introduction of new brand, introduction. So event is the introduction of organic salad dressing. You need to develop a marketing plan for the salad dressings, in which you must decide whether you will have a gradual introduction. So as soon as you, in the questions, when you have these words, whether you will have a gradual introduction. So two options are there, two alternatives. One option is gradual. So what is the Arabic for gradual? Slow. What is the Arabic for gradual? I mean, the company wants to launch slowly. That is one option, one alternative. And the other alternative is to go for a concentrated introduction, full, at once, concentrated. You can check what is the Arabic for these words. Concentrated is full and gradual is slowly. Two alternatives are there. The company has two options to go for it slowly or full. Okay, Bil Kamil is concentrated, very good, and the gradual is Tadrij. Bitadrij. Okay, good. I'm happy. So Bitadrij and Bilkamil. So we have two options. Why the company is deciding, we don't have time to do that, but it's all business question. A student should know, because when we launch fully all our products in the market, it will be more costly, more uh, risk is there. So that's why companies go for it slowly. Suppose Pepsi wants to introduce a new brand, new flavor in the market, and it will come in different sizes. But instead of launching all the size together, Pepsi decides to keep it slow. First, let's launch the big bottles, then the smaller ones, then the smaller ones. That is very much possible. So one is gradual and the other is concentrated. You understood the two types of launching in the market? Okay, all of you, all right. So these are the two alternatives. Khyaran, Al-Ula is gradual with Tadrij, and the Khyar Athani is Bilkamil, as I think Amal rightly wrote. Now, what else is given? You estimate that if there is a low demand, now we are coming to what? The type. The type is, one is gradual and the other is concentrated. One is gradual launch in the market. It's an important marketing concept in Tasveer. The company decides. So suppose you are launching Pepsi is launching a new flavor in the market. So this flavor will come in different sizes, in cans, in bottles, in big bottles, in small bottles. So there are 5 different types in which it can come. So there are two options. One, Pepsi can first test the one size and then see how the result is in the market. Or they are confident and they want to make quick profit. They just launch everything at once. So we have gradual launching and the other is concentrated launching. Okay. Now comes so this is alternative. Two alternatives are there. Now comes the probability. For both the options, there are two probabilities. One probability is that if there is a low demand, so the demand is the nature of state of nature, the possibility of demand. They are considering the manager is clever, so suppose, one of you is the manager and you already have learned decision analysis. So, we cannot escape the other. So suppose Garam is the manager of this company and she says, we cannot just rely on the good side. We have to also consider the bad side. So she says, okay, I want to see what will happen. I'll consider two conditions, low demand and high demand. So Garam says, okay, now high demand is there of the product Pepsi, then what will be the profit? And if the demand is low, then what will be the profit? Because then I'll get a better picture whether I should go for which of these alternatives, because these are my decision alternatives. So she calculates that if the demand is low, and gradual introduction, it's given, there will be a profit of 1 million. If the demand is low and you go for gradual, there is a profit of 1 million. But if the demand is low, the demand is high and gradual introduction, if the demand is low for gradual, the profit will be 1 million. If the demand is low and you go for concentrated, then there is a loss of 5 million, because the company has put a lot of money. The demand goes down, there will be a loss. If the demand is high and the company goes for gradual, then they make 4 million. 4 million reals or dollars as profit. But if the demand is high and it goes for concentrated, then the profit is maximum. It is $10 million. Now the question is, what is the best choice? We are not solving it here. What is the best choice? We are just making a decision tree for it. So can you make a decision tree now yourself and try it? Try in 2 minutes. Okay, make it yourself, and it's very easy. Just arrange it. I'll just try to make it slightly simpler for you. This is the event of launch of the products. The two alternatives are gradual and concentrated launch. Then the possibilities are, one possibility is low demand and the other possibility is high demand. One possibility is low demand, the other possibility is high demand. Now put the values and post it. One group. Anyone? Do it fast. I give you just 1 minute. Make on the picture a paper and post the picture. Because the next question, when we do, after we have learned this, the next question will be easier. Do it fast, please, because we have to solve the transportation also. Okay. Are you doing? Okay, I will start doing here. So if the launch is gradual and the demand is low, what is the profit? There is still a profit of $1 million. If the launch is gradual and the demand is high, then the company makes a profit of $4 million. Okay, so and always remember to write plus, because there is a chance of loss also. Then if the launch is concentrated and the demand is low, what will happen? There will be a loss of 5 million, that minus. Okay? If the launch is concentrated and the demand is high, then the company makes a profit of 10 million. This is our decision tree. Okay, got it? Now the question I'm going to ask you is this. Very good, mashallah. She is quick in math. I think, if she is Ragad, I don't know. Very good. Yeah, but there is one mistake. Always don't forget to write minus at least for loss. Okay, Ragad. So you have to add minus to your. Okay, and then the second one is from Rouge. You also write minus. Okay. All right, and the arrows should be straight, because in mind map they are curves, but in decision tree they have to be straight. Even, I mean, not a scale, but we have to do it with our hands. We can do it with our hands. Yeah, but you remember in the computer solutions, we've learned about some tools, computer tools, that will help us make the decision tree. Do you remember? What is the name of that tool? Let me just see if you remember, because your exam is clear. There is a tool, computer software, that helps in making decision tree. What is the name of that tool? Bonus question. Bonus, not in the final exam, but for your future exams. Crystal ball? No, not crystal ball. It's easy. Who will answer? there is a tool which helps in making decision tree. What is the name of that computer software? Linear. Okay, you take your time. Take your time. I give you some minutes. So this is a decision tree. Now you must be thinking. Your mind is already working on my one question. Now I have a second question for you. This example that we are seeing, this is an example of with probability or without probability. Let's see if you understood the decision making. This example, this problem is the decision making with probability or without probability. What do you say? So you have two questions, right? The final lecture is getting difficult for you. Two questions at once. Tell me, what do you say? Is this example of decision making with probability or without probability? Very good, mashallah. That was tree plan software. Good. So there is a software which will help us create decision making. But for simple examples like these, we don't need tree plan. We will need tree plan software when very complex decisions are there, so many alternatives and so many outcomes. Okay, but you should read more on it. I have told you earlier, read as much as possible. It's a very interesting course, and even if you don't specialize, it will help you. It will be a good skill for you in CV. So you should do it. Okay. Now tell me the next question answer. Is it an example of decision making with or without probability? Fast, please. We don't have much time now. With probability. That's the answer from Ragat. Okay. So we have one from R. What about others? What do you say? With probability. Murush says it is without probability. So we have another one. Now it's a tie. So let's see who. Any other answer? Any third answer? Have a look at the slides, what we have discussed so far, and your mind map. Just look at the mind map and see what did we discuss. Is it with probability or without probability? Let's have one more answer from another student. Otherwise, I'll have to call the name. She will have to answer. Okay, I'll call the name. Yes, Elian, what do you say? This is an example of with probability or without probability. No answer. Then Garam, what is your answer? Amira. This is very important to understand how to recognize, whether Shahad Nafai, Qureshi, Lama. Yeah, so Garam says with probability, Lama says with probability. Now we'll have to understand this problem again. Probability, as we said, is a mathematical number. It's a mathematical calculation that we do to assign some numbers to the probability, to the conditions. So what we are seeing here in this problem, it's straightforward. There is nothing given. What is the chance? What is the probability of low demand and high demand? Is it given? It's not given. So we don't know, if the demand will be low. What is the chance? 30%, 40%, or 80, 90 we don't know, isn't it? So that's something to look out for. So in cases of decision without probability, it is not given, or we have not calculated the mathematical probability, which is what is the chance of the two situations. So if I suppose, I toss the coin up in the air and it comes down, then it's a straightforward. The chance of head and tail is 50%, 1 by 2. But here, whether the demand will be low or high, it's not 50-50 because we don't know about many things. It must be a percentage or decimal. It may be 30% or 0.3. Generally, as I said, mathematical probability is written as percentage. Okay. So that has to be, you have to check out for that in the question. And I told you at your level, because we are just introducing the discipline to you at BBA, at undergrad. So we have to check whether it is given. It's not given, it's just given if there is a low demand. But if probability is given, it will be given that the probability of low demand is 30% or 0.3, and the probability of high demand is 70% or 0.7, which is not given here in this case. So this is an example of without probability. All of you understood? Clear to all? Let's see the next question, and then we'll solve this one. In this question we have to make the decision tree, and then we'll solve it. Okay, it's easy. So there is an oil exploration company which has 100 million pounds available in cash. It can invest this money in a bank at 10% return of 150 over 5 years. Okay? 150 million over 5 years. Alternatively, it can invest in an oil exploration project, of which there are currently 2 available options. So we have the event, investment. 3 alternatives are there. One is bank, project A, project B. Then possibilities. In case of bank, is there any possibility given? Only one possibility or more than one? Only one possibility is given in the bank. What is the possibility? That there is a return of 10%. So it's given that in 5 years, this calculation is being done for 5 years. So it's given that last day, I missed this, I thought I did it for 1 year only, but it has to be for 5 years. It's already given here in the question. So this one is 150 million pounds. Okay, 150 million pounds. Straightforward. There is no if but in this. There is no no. Try to understand that this 10%. Yeah, it's a good point that Muruj has identified. But we have to understand that this 10% is not the probability. It is the return. Okay, 10% return. This is different than probability. The probability can be whether this return will be there. So if I say there is 10% chance that the return will be there and 90% chance that the return will not be there, but this is not given. It's fixed that there will be 10% return, and on the basis of that, the total yield or the return is 150 million pounds. Alternatively, it can invest in an oil exploration project, of which there are currently 2 available options, project A, project B. In project A, now here there is a chance. There are 2 chances. There is a 0.5 chance of success and 0.5 chance. If this 0.5 is not given, you can calculate. If it is given, well and good. But if it is not given, okay, no problem. I can calculate because there are just 2. So suppose, I say the probability of success is 0.7. So what is the probability of failure? 3.3. Okay. So the chance of success of project A is 0.5, and if it is succeeded, then it makes a total money of 200 million pounds in 5 years. But if it fails, then what happens? There is a loss. When we say loss, it's always minus. There is a loss of 50 million pounds. Okay. Then comes the second option, project B. In project B also the chance of success is 0.6 and chance of failure is 0.4. If the project succeeds, then the company makes 300 million pounds. If the project doesn't succeed, it is a failure, then the company loses 20 million pounds. Okay, now here we have to solve what is the best alternative. We have to solve. So we have to learn a rule that we have to calculate the payoff. Okay, now tell me something from common sense. There is just one condition here. There is just one condition in choice number 1, that is investing in bank. So what is the probability of this condition? Very good, mashallah, good. So the probability of this condition is 1, that is there is 100% chance that if I invest the money in bank, I will get 150 million pounds. This is what you have to understand. If it was given that here also there is a probability that the bank can go bust, the bank becomes bankrupt, or the bank remains the same, so there is a chance. But here it's not given that way. It's simple, one probability that it will get 10%, so the probability is 100%. For the other two, there are two conditions. So how to solve this? We have to calculate the payoff. In order to calculate the payoff or expected values, the simple formula is to multiply the probability multiplied by the return, the final outcome. So 1 multiplied by 150. Then 0.5 multiplied by 200. How much is it? 100. Plus 0.5 multiplied by minus 50. So it becomes minus 25. This is okay. And 0.6 multiplied by 300 plus minus 0.4 multiplied by 20. Why I am writing minus? Because this is minus, so we have to use that, so minus 0.4 into 20. So this is 180 minus 0.4 into 20 is minus 8. So 180 minus 8 is 172. Okay. So we got three options. We'll do it again here in big. This is bank. This is just one probability. This is project B, A. There are two possibilities here. And there is project B. Two possibilities here as well. So if I invest in bank, 1.0, 100%, payoff is, the outcome is 150. All right. So payoff is 150. This is not million. Okay. Payoff doesn't mean it's million. It is a weighted average. It is not in amount. It's a weighted average. It's an expected value. Okay. Then this is bank. This is project A. Project A is success, failure 0.5, 0.5. So the chance of success, it makes 200. Chance of failure, it makes a loss of 25, minus 25. Here it is success, chance is 0.6, failure, chance is 0.4, it makes 300 million. If it is succeeded, it loses 20 million. If it is so, this one we calculated 0.5 into 200. We said it is 75, and this is 180 minus 8, 172. So these are the payoffs, final values. Now the question is, which is the best value? 172. So which option is the best? Project B is the best option to invest in. Okay. This is how we use, very easy, simple. Loss is 50 million. In which one? Oh, yes, yes. Here. Loss is 50 million. The result is 100 minus 25. Yes, in projected. So this is how we calculate the decision tree with probability. If it is without probability, then it's much easier. We have to learn some rules. We are not doing that here because decision tree with probability is more important. So I stop here, because we have to go. I'll stop the recording for analysis.